Very hearty welcome to all the worthy guests present in the second session of Tech for Seva, Lifestyle and Nutritional Practices, Traditional Wisdom, Yoga, Meditation, Activity and Fitness. Now I invite Dr. Sakshi and Dr. Virender Garg to please give us a formal welcome. Thank you.
On behalf of Team Tech for Seva, Gyan Bharati, Nit Bharata Bihar, and Center for Innovation and Biology, I welcome today's chief guest, Dr. Anant Ramakrishnan, who is the director of CSIR Chandigarh, Shri J.M. Balamurugan ji, IAS, who is presiding over today's session, is Honorable Governor Punjab, Dr. Vivekananda Pai, Secretary Vibha, Dr. Sapna Nanda, Principal, Government College of Yoga and Education, Dr. Niru Malik, Devswaj College of Education, Dr. Ramdas Magnati, Principal, Shri Dhanvantari Ayurvedic College, Dr. Akshay Anand, Professor, Department of Neurology, PGMR, and today's awardees, Shri Anil Sharma, Registrar Shri Krishna Ayush University, and Shri Ashwini Shetty and Shri Vipin Sharma. Shri Ashwini is Chairman of Punjab Health System Corporation, and Shri Vipin Sharma is Secretary of Confederation of Colleges and Schools of Punjab. We are indebted, privileged, and honored by the august presence of so many intellectual and the eminent people of the different walks in the life. I again welcome you on the behalf of our team. Swagat, welcome. Now I will invite Dr. Sakshi to screen for.
I consider it a great honor to welcome and introduce our worthy chief guest, Professor S. Ananta Ramakrishna, Director, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Central Scientific Instruments Organization. Professor Ramakrishnan has joined CSIR-CSIO as Director on 27 July 2020 on loan from IIT Kanpur. His area of interest includes technological applications of metamaterials and plasmonics. He has worked on several projects of the defense agencies on various applications, including radar, stealth, and infrared camouflage. He has worked in the area of metamaterials and plasmonics, nanostructured materials, and has published over 115 papers in referred international journals. He has been awarded with SS Bhatnagar Prize by the CSIR in 2016. He has also been a Swarna Jayanti Fellowship by Department of Science and Technology in 2012. I invite our chief guest to apprise us with his kind and motivational words. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Niru. Dr. Balamurugan, Sri Balamurugan IAS, President of today's session. Dr. Virender Garg, who kindly invited me for this, Dr. Vivekananda Pai, Dr. Sapna Nanda, and all my colleagues and friends. It's a matter of great honor for me to be here to talk about health, lifestyle, food habits, and so on, regarding the traditional wisdom which we have in our Indian nation and Indian society. This session will, I'm sure, give rise to many new ideas about how we utilize our traditional wisdom in these aspects of nutritional and lifestyle practices. And I hope that it will give rise to certain new ways in which we live our lives in today's society. Just to put things in perspective, there are 86 billion neurons in our brain, roughly. Some people say it's even larger, maybe 100 billion. Each of these neurons have about 15,000 synaptic connections with each other. So you can see that these synapses are the places where the brain stores information. Each connection is an information. That's how a neural network works. So you can now start imagining what is the total amount of permutations and combinations of these synapses which give rise to a particular response, or how a particular thing is encoded in it. It is simply mind-boggling, astronomical number. You know, in astronomy, you have numbers like this. You have 100 billion stars. You have things like that in a galaxy. You know, so these astronomically large numbers are even today not really amenable to analysis in the way we do in our physics, chemistry, and mathematics as of yet. Because the analysis that we do is simply dependent on too small a set of parameters. And that unless it is small number of parameters, our mathematical models cannot address this level of complexity. So when I take a brain like that, the human body, which has maybe 1 trillion cells and so on, and these are all interacting, the nature of their interactions makes it an extremely complex system. And it's a strongly correlated complex system. That's what our human body is. And traditional wisdom, traditional knowledge evolved not in 1 year, not in 1 year, not in 100 years. Modern science has evolved only in the last 300 years or so, roughly. So when we talk of traditional understanding, we have to understand how the human body evolved to address various challenges. How the animal body evolved, because we descended eventually from other forms of life. We evolved from that. That's our understanding. So these evolutionary mechanisms through various selection mechanisms and so on have happened over, let's say, crores of years. And the human body in its present form has probably evolved over 1 million years or more. And traditional wisdom has been developing along with it, because the traditional wisdom what we have is been evolving since the time of ancient man. Adi Manu is whatever you may say. So we have to understand that this traditional knowledge has arisen out of observations stretching over so many years by generations and generations, and passed on to subsequent generations through word of mouth teaching, mother to child, father to child, father to child again. And it has been going on generationally. And that is the reason that human race could actually survive, because of this extraordinary memory. And it is often in anthropology and in many areas, it is thought that the Homo sapien alone survived, whereas the other Homo erectus or other forms may have disappeared because of our capability to actually pass on immense amount of memory and knowledge, and actually have access to the larger amount of memory that our brains provide. It is these are of course, those are of course, just thoughts, but the truth is this traditional wisdom is actually observations that are stretched over 1 million years probably. And they were in our Indian society, they were quite well understood, and they were quite well put together in a very regular manner and made accessible through our ancient sciences, through our Indian science system and so on. So it is not something that we can just say, oh, there is no reason to it. It is not rigorous. There are all kinds of arguments that are made against those knowledge systems. But I think this is a traditional wealth which has evolved over 1 million years, and there is actually nothing in modern science which evolved just in 300 years to challenge it to that level. So I think there are more experts who are really expert in those traditional systems of knowledge than me. I am not a person to pontificate about what those systems are. My knowledge is very limited. My knowledge is limited to the more of the 300 years of physics or so that we have evolved. And I have very, very little knowledge personally about those, but I have a tremendous sense of respect and my way of rationalization about what those systems are. This is a knowledge evolution over a million years. So we should not take it trivially. After all, those are the reasons why we have survived today as a species. So it would be a very good idea not to reject it, but to actually analyze it and try to analyze it and understand it in conjunction with our modern science understandings. And there will have to be paradigm changes because complex systems do not go as per the paradigms of very simple systems. So I would say that this is a very, very important session, and the complexity that is sought to be addressed in the human body has to be done. I'll just say that it will be inspiring to actually listen to the speakers in this and learn about our ancient traditional systems. And I would just say one thing, one thing that I have practiced, which is that, probably, we keep reading, take this herb, it will save your life. You eat that oil, it will save your life. It will not give a heart attack or whatever. All kinds of advertisements are there. I think the truth, which our ancients propounded very beautifully, was experience everything and not too much of anything. And I think that is what probably is the secret. Until we understand these things in more entirety, I think that is what should be practiced. As far as nutritional practices go, I think eat less of everything. And I think that is probably the only sensible statement I can make at my stage. And similarly, regarding lifestyle, our bodies evolved over these millions of years, or billion years even, maybe, through the organismal manner to be active. Today we have probably chosen the most sedentary lifestyle of any organism, except maybe a sloth bear or something like that. We probably are as sedentary, and we have probably never been as sedentary in our lifestyle at any time in the history of mankind. And that has its life, implications, with a very large population suffering from lifestyle disorders and lifestyle diseases. So I think, again, the ancient knowledge in the terms of our ancient lifestyles, of even living, doing certain physical work, practicing yoga and being physically active are probably the other secret to it. And our experts, I'm sure, will expound on these aspects very, very clearly, with much more clarity than I can. So, with that, I would just say that, let us actually adopt and practice what is discussed today for a healthier life, and, try to live healthier and longer lives. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such motivational words. I now take this opportunity to introduce our eminent special guest, Dr. Vivekananda Pai, All India Secretary, Vibha. He completed his B.Arch from College of Engineering, Trivandrum, presently based at Kochi and running own architectural practice. He is the Secretary of Vigyan Bharati since 2010. He has been the part of team that organized the nationwide Urja Yatras and India International Energy Summit at Nagpur in 2011. He is an executive editor of Science India magazine for 2 years during 2008 to 2010. He has been involved in activities related to sustainable development, especially in renewable energy and green buildings. He is an architect by profession and an executive editor of Science India magazines for 2 years during 2008 and 2010. I invite Dr. Vivekananda Pai to please apprise us with his kind and motivational words. Thank you, sir. Dr. Vivekananda Pai, we would like to hear a few words from your side, please.
Thank you, Nidhi Madam. Respected Dr. Ananta Krishnan ji, Director CSIU, then Dr. Balamurugan ji. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Virendra Garg ji and all the dignitaries attending this program, and those who are participating in this program, the prize award winners, everyone, namaste. This is a very important topic that the Tech for Seva program is discussing, simply because of the fact that we are going through one of the unprecedented health emergencies or crises, and still we are not out of it. And for the past 1.5 years, this has affected the whole world, and it is still in different stages in different parts of the world. And fortunately, India is slowly out of it now, but it is still unpredictable. And during this period, we came across our traditional wisdom. There has been reports that the amount of haldi that was being exported from India to Middle East and other parts of the world, it actually increased by 4-folds. And similarly, people started looking at, as Ananta Krishnanji mentioned, like having different kind of preparations and like that. And everyone started, most of us started practicing yoga. We know that yoga, Ayurveda, these are traditional forms of not just medication, lifestyle that evolved in this country. And it has evolved based on a particular philosophical definition of life, which is slightly different from what we today look at as the physical reality. If we look at the definition of health that the World Health Organization gave, initially it was the physical well-being of a person. But later on, it added one more aspect, that is the mental health well-being of a person. Then it was understood that just physical and mental doesn't properly define the well-being of a person. These circumstances are also important. So it became the social well-being of a person also. But today we are looking at another aspect of health, that is the spiritual well-being of a person. We know that traditionally India has looked at the different sheets of life. Like we define the Annamaya Kosha as the body, then the Pranamaya Kosha, then Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. Where Anandamaya Kosha is something like the what we call the eternal truth or the consciousness. And today the modern science is starting to look at the aspect of life where it is called the consciousness studies. So we have been totally saying like Sat Chit Ananda, existent consciousness bliss, and the whole purpose of human life is to attain bliss. That is where the yoga and all those practices, they take us to that kind of a mental state where we can strive to attain bliss. That is what, when the fundamental thought process of every aspect of Indian tradition, be it in the dance, be it in music, be it in architecture, be it in health, and be it in yoga or our traditions, and our philosophy, our language, everything that passes, that has this fundamental thread of thought process, the philosophy of life that is interwoven into every aspect of that. That is why, though there are ups and downs, finally we find that some of the things that have been mentioned in our traditional lifestyle debates, that still find a relevance. For example, today, in the next few days, we will have the COP26 at Glasgow. And earlier we had the COP21, where the whole world came to a kind of agreement on the Paris Agreement on climate change. But what happens is that when there is a declaration in the UN about how we have to tackle the climate change question, because our forefathers talked about the earth being Mother Earth and how we have to look after that. So that process, which we talked millions of thousands of years ago, which we have practiced in our country, naturally it comes to us. Today, the world finds that without that kind of a thought process, it is very difficult for the planet to move on. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah. Similarly, in this present condition also, like we find there are many solutions suggested by Ayurveda, which with empirical evidence as well as now clinical trials happening by our Ayush department, which finds a kind of how to get about the COVID situation. And we find that many of the states where this has been practiced heavily, that they have success to some extent, to a greater extent, has stopped this onslaught of COVID. I am saying this from the state of Kerala. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, I'm saying this from the state of Kerala, where initially we had great success in holding back the onslaught of COVID, and at that time, I know as a person living here that the state government had also given a lot of importance to the traditional forms of resistance and more our immunity boosting. But later on, there was a tug of war between the followers of the modern medicine, the Indian Medical Association, which is very strong in Kerala, and the Ayush department, and they actually stopped doing that following the traditional forms of medicine kind of efforts to immunity boosting. And we are still contributing more than half of the active cases in the country. It came to such a pass that almost 1 month back, the health minister again said, we will also add other forms of traditional medicine to boost immunity. And slowly the numbers are coming down. I am not an expert in this, but this is like we have empirical evidence to this. And on the other hand, what is happening is the World Health Organization, first we talked of hydroxychloroquine, then we talked of plasma therapy, then we talked of other forms also, and ultimately the same authorities said no, including ICMR said no, we are not following this now. So you have on the one a unique paradoxical situation where one system doesn't have a solution and other systems claim they are having solutions, but we are not allowing anybody to practice. That is the kind of thing. But fortunately, we have come out with a vaccine. So the point here is traditional systems have their own importance, but what we need to look at is a holistic aspect. And as Ananta Ramakrishnan sir very clearly said, we have the experience of millennia that has built up and that has actually has a foundation which is slightly having a different view than what is the Western view of health, Western definition of health, Western definition of life, lifestyle, and everything. And unfortunately, the world today is at a crossroads, as evidenced by the challenges of climate change. That is one aspect. But similarly, in the health also, that when we have the physical, mental well-being also, the spiritual questions lead people to very dangerous aspects. So that also has to be answered. That is where our yoga, Ayurveda, and so many traditional practices are coming into picture. And the Tech for Seva is a very unique format where, as the Subhashita says, Anartham aksharam nasti, nasti moolam anaushadam, ayogya purusho nasti, yojagas tatra durlabha. Like that, Tech for Seva is that yojaka, that platform that brings together the institutions, research institutions, academic institutions on the one hand, the needy people on the other hand, like the people representing some of the most backward, downtrodden people in our society, and also the people who can fund it, like the CSR providers, corporates on third leg, bring together, discuss the issues, and reach the problem statements, then work for the solutions using the support resources supported by the corporates. So that is the format Tech for Seva has, and I am very glad that this very important issue of health that actually affects almost 1.4 billion people, and a large majority of them, almost nearly 2/3, who are below the age of 35 and has a few more decades to live. So we can, if we can inspire solutions which enable people to not go into a problem and then solve it, but bypass the problem, like having a good lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle. If we can encourage that, that will be the biggest success of this program. My best wishes to CBIOD, CSIO, and all other organizations that are supporting this program, all individuals that are part of this program, and all groups which are supporting this program. Best wishes from Vigyan Bharati and all of us. Namaste.
Namaskar. Thank you so much, sir, for such kind and motivational speech. I now invite Dr. Ajayita for the panel discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Shefali. Namaste and good evening to all. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our all esteemed and revered panelists. And our first panelist is Dr. Sapna Nanda. Dr. Sapna Nanda has been facilitated by Honorable Governor V.P. Singh Badnor, Governor of Punjab and Administrator of Chandigarh on Independence Day celebrations for her meritorious services and initiatives. Many recognitions under her belt to encourage students, staff, and yoga enthusiasts to contribute to the field of yoga literature. Authored a book titled Evaluation and Management of High-Risk Pregnancies, Emerging Research and Opportunities. Launched an annual college magazine, Kalash, in 2020. Launched an online journal, The Yogic Insight, on 7th International Day of Yoga. Dr. Sapna Nanda, hearty welcome to you. Our second revered panelist is Dr. Neeru Malik, Associate Professor, Dev Samaj College of Education, Sector 36B, Chandigarh, a gold medalist diploma in naturopathy and yoga therapy, silver medalist, qualified past master trainer in yoga, Chandigarh, member Senate Punjab University, Chandigarh, former Dean Faculty of Design and Fine Arts, Punjab University, former Secretary, Faculty of Education, Punjab University, member Academic Council, Punjab University, member BOF Physical Education, member BOF NSS. She is internationally qualified technical official in table tennis and worked for Rio Olympics qualifications. Hearty welcome, Dr. Neeru Malik. Our third panelist is Dr. Ramdas Maganti, Principal Sri Dhanvantri Ayurvedic College and Hospital, Principal and Medical Superintendent and Head of Department of Kaya Chikitsa at Sri Dhanvantri Ayurvedic College and Hospital, chaired the session in International Conference on Ayurveda on 12th and 13th Ashwini 2011, appointed as Board of Passing Examination in Ayurveda for SCS VMC Deemed University, member of IMCOPS Chennai, member of All India Ayurvedic Specialist PG Association. Total professional experience 32 years, total number of patients treated 24 years of professional experience approximately is, the figure is high, it's 1,75,000 and 17,58,000. Our next revered panelist is Dr. Anil Sharma, Registrar, Sri Krishna Ayush University, Professor and the Head of Department, Sri Krishna Ayush University, Member, Public Service Commission in Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, and many other states, member in editorial board of many reputed research journals, arranged number of health camps in rural and remote areas. Our next honorable panelist is Dr. Akshay Anand, Professor, Department of Neurology, Editor-in-Chief of Annals of Neurosciences and Integrative Medicine Cases Report, and former EIC of Integrative Medicine International, member Scientific Advisory Center for Consciousness at Harvard Medical School, mentored 14 PhD students and completed 26 research grants and remains profusely funded by various national funding agencies, advising various editorial, policy, and scientific enterprises across 30 countries. Fellow of Indian Academy of Neurosciences and was nominated for India's prestigious Padma Award 2020. ICMR Amrut Moody Unique Prize 2012. 203 publications in international peer-reviewed journals and 3 patent applications. So we have the list of esteemed panelists with us, and I'm sure with the brainstorm with all these panelists, we would have a very good panel discussion. And to move on further, it's my personal belief that each and everything comes with their pros and cons. And so is the modernity, and so is the modern life. Meaning, Advaita evam Adunik is a perfect blend of Vish and Amrit. Like in the years ago, when Samudra Manthan was taken, the Vish and Amrit was separated. And I think today's session would be, the panel discussion would be, to take out the Vish and separate the Amrit, where we can take out all the Amrit to get more and more healthier mentally and physically. WHO has also accepted the definition of Sam dosha, sam agni, sam dhatu, mal kriya, prasanna atma, indriya mana, iti swast abhidhyate. So let's continue with the spreading of the message that we are healthy, the nation is going to be healthy. And in this, before starting the panel discussion, let me invite Dr. Akshay Anand. So let's keep the question reserved for him till the time he joins us. My first question is going to be towards Dr. Anil. And since Dr. Anil is the HOD of Department of Herbal Medicine at Sri Krishna Ayush University, and I would like to have a discussion with Dr. Anil. Dr. Anil, we know that the modern lifestyle has got many of the pros and cons, and the modern lifestyle has become a part of ours where it is impacting us on the various modes, and we are not able to follow the correct diet and the correct lifestyle. Rather, to be more precise, I would say that the diurnal lifestyle has been completely shifted towards the nocturnal lifestyle, which is causing a lot many health hazards. So, being an expert, what would be your message, or what would be your expertise in this, that how can we make a balance in this till we can remain healthy?
Thank you, the organizers, for calling me over here. First of all, I'm highly thankful to all the organizers who has given me this opportunity to discuss this issue on this platform. So the question is very different, because there is no specific modern lifestyle as mentioned in any of the texts anywhere. There is no mention of modern lifestyle. The only modern lifestyle is that whatsoever we are deviating from the traditional lifestyle, there are different kind of then styles. Everybody is having his own style nowadays, just deviating from the traditional lifestyle. So that is the modern lifestyle. But as the question is, how can we come up healthy with this modern lifestyle? It is very tough to say, because it is just impossible, I can say rather, that to be healthy with this modern lifestyle? Because before going into the detail of this question, I like to just first tell you that because we belong to a traditional system of medicine, that is Ayurveda. So what basically Ayurveda wants? Ayurveda basically wants that swasthasya swasthya rakshanam aturasya vikar prashmanam cha, that our traditional system just first talk about the swasthasya swasthya rakshanam, that how a healthy person be kept healthy. Only then, if even then, the system says that how we can keep ourselves healthy, and we will remain healthy if we follow the traditional system of lifestyle. But even then, in some cases, as you are saying about the modern lifestyle, or if we just deviate from this healthy lifestyle, then also our system says aturasya vikar prashmanam cha. Then also talk about the treatment of the diseases. But this is the secondary part. The first part is only that how can we keep ourselves healthy. Second important issue, as discussed by Dr. Ramakrishnan and also Dr. Vivekanand, regarding the definition of the healthy person, and you also just define now some dosha, some agnischa, some dhatu malkriya, prasanna atma indriya mana swasthya itya vidhyate. The question is, WHO has designed the definition only 150 years before. And rather at that time also, the definition was not complete as told by Dr. Vivekanand. We are not talking about the healthy definition of WHO, which has been designed only 150 years before. But if we just talk about the definition of health, some dosha, some agnischa, some dhatu malakriya, there is the whole physiology. That is the whole the who is healthy, the whole physiology, dosha, dhatu and mal. Secondly, as Dr. Vivekanand told, mental health. The first part is physiological, then second is social. Some dosha, some agnischa, some dhatu malakriya, prasanna atma indriya mana. जिस व्यक्ति की आत्मा इंद्रिय और मन प्रसन्न है, that is the spiritual as well as the mental health was involved by our traditional authors thousands of years ago. Just see the depth of the definition. He has not confined himself to the physiology of the system without any disease. The second part has been given the due importance, that is prasanna atma indriya mana. जिस व्यक्ति की आत्मा इंद्रिय और मन प्रसन्न नहीं होंगे वो कभी भी स्वस्थ नहीं हो सकता. Physiologically, he can be healthy, but if somebody is not mentally fit, he can never be healthy. So our authors, our traditional system has very clearly mentioned the balance of Atma, Man and Indriya, the equation between the Atma, Man and Indriya, and the balance between the physiology as well as the psychology as well as the sociology of the system. So this is the actual definition which Ayurveda says. Now, how to manage it? You are talking about the modern lifestyle. So now in modern lifestyle, there is no specific mention as I earlier told you. In the modern lifestyle, what is happening, अगर हम उसको थोड़ा सा brief करना चाहें, कि we are not going to the bed at time. We are not getting up early in the morning. We are not performing all our morning activities at time, and rather we are not performing all those activities. We are not following the diets as prescribed by the traditional system of medicines. We are just going behind the junk food. When you are performing all these things, you can do. Dr. Ramakrishnan told one thing, even then if you are doing these things, still you cannot be 100% healthy, but you can manage your system if you exert physically, if you do physical exercise, if you utilize your body, whatsoever you have taken, junk food, आप पिज्जा खा रहे हैं, आप चाउमीन खा रहे हैं, चलो आप कभी कभी ले रहे हैं, but still the question is कि लेने के बाद भी हम कोई physical work नहीं कर रहे हैं. That's why it is further enhancing our lifestyle disorders. So first of all, I'm not at all in the favor, and I don't have anything to tell that using this modern lifestyle, you can maintain your health. It is very tough to maintain the health. You have ultimately, up to some extent, follow your traditional system. The basic system is that early to rise and early to bed. जैसे हमारे यहाँ to maintain this some dosha, some agnischa, some dhatu malkriya, to maintain this health, the traditional system has very vastly described the daily dincharya. सुबह उठने से लेकर रात तक आपको क्या करना है. For example, I just discuss the few issues because the time is, I think, some limited. For example, very common issue everybody knows, Brahma Muhurta. सुबह ब्रह्म मुहूर्त में उठना चाहिए. So now we know Brahma Muhurta, but what is the value of this Brahma Muhurta? If we talk about the Brahma Muhurta, Brahma means the time of God. भगवान का समय है ये. इस समय में हमारा जो ब्रेन है, हमारा जो मेंटल लेवल है, वो इस समय हाईली एक्टिव रहता है। हमारा जो सिस्टम है ब्रेन का हाईली एक्टिव रहने के कारण इस समय हम जो भी कोई काम करेंगे वो काम बहुत परफेक्टली होगा। हमारे सिस्टम के हिसाब से ये एक वातिक समय है, वायु प्रकोप का जो बल्कि वायु की अधिकता का समय है, और इस वायु की अधिकता के समय की वजह से इस समय आपके सारे सिस्टम्स के जितने भी ऑर्गन्स हैं वो बड़े एक्टिवली काम करते हैं। इसलिए जो भी कार्य इस ब्रह्म मुहूर्त में उठ के किया जाएगा, चाहे वो पढ़ाई से रिलेटेड है, चाहे वो स्पिरिचुअलिज्म से रिलेटेड है, चाहे वो सोसाइटी से रिलेटेड है, वो बहुत ही बेहतर तरीके से आप लोग कर पाएंगे। तो दिस इज वेरी टफ नाउडेज, पीपल डोंट लाइक इट टू गेट अप अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग, बट दिस इज utmost important to get up early in the morning, because this vata is responsible for the flexibility of the body, all the body movements, functioning of the organs, enthusiasm, mental activities, rather the process of metabolism. It is all properly channelized during this Brahma Muhurta. So this is very tough, very important to get up early in the morning. Then a very simple process to get up in the morning and have a lukewarm water. So lukewarm water, if you're having the lukewarm water, so this during the last 8 hours our system is lethargic. हमारे सभी organs जो हैं वो resting stage के अंदर होते हैं। उसमें जब तक उन सिस्टम के जितने organs हैं उनको चैनलाइज करने के लिए, उनको सिस्टमाइज करने के लिए हम 2-3 गिलास पानी नहीं पिएंगे, तो जो ओवरऑल आपका जो एसिड है, जो ओवरऑल आपका जो अनडाइजेस्टेड फूड थोड़ा बहुत स्टोमक में रखा है, जो टॉक्सिन जिसे हम मॉडर्न साइंस के हिसाब से कहते हैं, उनको बाहर निकालने के लिए सुबह उठ के वो 2-3 गिलास गर्म पानी हम पीते हैं, वो पीना बहुत जरूरी है, which enhances, which removes all the toxins from our stomach, from our intestine, and generate new secretions of enzymes, which increase the Jaఠragni, and as well as which increase the secretions of enzymes and improve our digestion. And the most important thing is, while taking this lukewarm water, we are increasing the peristaltic movement of our system, our intestine, which will throw out all the toxins and all the waste material, जिसे सम दोष सामग्री से सम धातु मल क्रिया, इस मल क्रिया को नॉर्मलाइज करने के लिए, जो कि आज के दिन जितना इंपॉर्टेंट दोष धातु है उतना इंपॉर्टेंट मल भी है, उस टॉक्सिन्स को, उस मल को शरीर से बाहर करने के लिए सुबह हमें उठ के ये 2-3 गिलास गर्म पानी के पीने अत्यधिक अनिवार्य है। उसके बाद अगर हम बात करें तो उठने के बाद then the most important issue is brushing. Now brushing is a very important issue. What is happening in the brushing? Whatsoever the toothpaste nowadays available in the market, if we go through the composition of all those before the brushing, defecation, बाउल्स को रिमूव करने के लिए अगर हम देखें आज के दिन जो सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट इशू आ रहा है कॉन्स्टिपेशन। The thing is कि we are sitting on the commode. When we are sitting on the commode, our the alignment of our rectum is at 90 degree, which is not allowing the toxins to pass properly, which is not allowing the mala to pass properly. So that's why जब हम स्क्वैटिंग की पोजीशन में बैठते हैं, स्क्वैटिंग की पोजीशन में बैठने पे our rectum is just alignment in the it is coming in the proper alignment. In that case, the stool properly passes out of our. I can't show you the pictures. I have the pictures. So when you are sitting in the squatting position, you will find that your bowels will be evacuated very easily and very comfortably. So this is very important. अभी क्या है कि उसके लिए मॉडल लाइफस्टाइल की बात करें कि कमोड पे बैठना अगर जरूरी है, तो हमें कमोड पे बैठने के लिए फिर हमें एक छोटी एक पीढ़ी वहां पे रख लेनी चाहिए, जिससे कि आपके जो नी जॉइंट्स है वो मुड़ जाए और आपकी जो पोजीशन है वो नियर अबाउट स्क्वैटिंग बन जाए और आपकी जो रेक्टम मसल्स हैं वो रिलैक्स हो सके। So this is another important part, that evacuation of your bowels. Now brushing. This brushing is very important. Nowadays we are using our number of pastes. अगर हम उस पेस्ट की डिटेल के अंदर जाएं तो it contains number of abrasives हैं, उसके अंदर फ्लोराइड्स हैं, humectants हैं, thickening binders हैं। अगर आप उन सब चीजों की हम डिटेल स्टडी करें तो we will find that all these things are not at all helpful to the body. They are only helpful if they are taken used in a very very smallest amount. They are harmful, and if you just go through any of the paste, it is very clearly written on the paste warning that keep it out of the touch from the children, and if it is engulfed in the intestine, immediately consult the poison consultant, poison control center. This is very clear warning written on the paste, but still we are using that paste because we are easily getting up in the morning and doing the paste. So for this, what we have to do is we have to use the twigs of this. हमारे यहाँ ट्रेडिशनल सिस्टम बड़ा क्लियरली बताया गया है कि कषाय, तिक्त और कटुरस प्रधान जितने भी प्लांट्स हैं, चाहे वो नीम है, चाहे वो कीकर है, चाहे वो बबूल है, उसकी दातुन हमें करनी चाहिए. जो रेगुलरली के दातुन करते हैं, आई कैन अश्योर यू कि दे नेवर हैड दिस ब्लीडिंग गम्स. उनके जो दांत हैं, उनके जो गम्स हैं, वो बहुत मजबूत रहते हैं. इसलिए हमें इस पेस्ट को अवॉइड करके, चाहे हम घर में फिटकरी का, नमक का, तेल का पेस्ट बना के घर पर यूज करें, तो दैट विल बी फार फार बेटर. हमें किसी माउथ की प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी. लाइकवाइज,
know that the points what you are telling us, they are very, very useful and insightful. We can definitely have a one full lecture of Dincharya and Ritucharya, but we need to be a little short so that we can pass on the crisp message to the audience. And the points are very well spoken, like the Malasan, that is the best asan which we should practice. Dandhavan, which is the best way of the technique which you have already explained to us. And in very short, you have told like digestive fire is the main core of our body system. And if that is maintained, we are definitely able to maintain the health with the modern lifestyle. Thank you, Dr. Anil. Thank you so much. मैं जानती हूँ कि 99 लोग भीड़ बनाते हैं और सिर्फ एक इंसान जो है वो लीडर बनता है. इस 99 लोग जो है वो टॉक्सिन्स की तरफ जा रहे हैं और आयुर्वेदा और लाइफस्टाइल डिसऑर्डर्स को दूर करने वाले लोग सिर्फ एक हैं जिनको मैं मानती हूँ वो लीडर बन सकते हैं. और इंडिया इसमें भारत का प्रगतिशील देश होते हुए भी एक लीडर बनेगा. आई एम श्योर, बिकॉज वी हैव गॉट ऑल द पैनलिस्ट्स विद सच अ ब्रेन. एंड नाउ जो हमें डॉक्टर अनिल ने कुछ हमें इंसाइट्स दिए हैं, दे आर वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट. डॉक्टर सपना, मैं आपसे एक सवाल जानना चाहूँ, आपसे कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन लेना चाहूंगी. जैसे डॉक्टर अनिल ने कहा कि मॉडर्न लाइफस्टाइल के साथ साथ में बैलेंस करना हेल्थ के लिए बहुत मुश्किल है, विच आई टोटली अग्री. बट स्टिल आपकी एक्सपर्टीज लेते हुए what all you can tell us, like what should be the kind of the diet which people should follow, keeping in view the time slot also, as I already said and Dr. Anil has also endorsed it, that our diurnal life has shifted to the nocturnal life. What are your experts' comment? And we need to stick to the time. I give you only 5 to 7 minutes. I know it's tough, but we need to be in the frame of time as well. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone, respected organizers, for this wonderful opportunity of sharing this platform, and my dear co-panelist and the chairperson, special guest, Balamurgan sir, my dear friends and esteemed audience. So, Dr. Ajita, this is the very relevant question you are asking about the diet. So, diet plays a very, very important role in maintaining good health and well-being of an individual. So, जैसा भी डॉक्टर अनिल शर्मा ने काफी बात की इसके बारे में, दिनचर्या के बारे में, ऋतुचर्या के बारे में बात की, तो डाइट जो है, डाइट जो अगर हम बात करें तो आजकल जैसे हमारा लाइफस्टाइल हो गया है, वी आर शिफ्टिंग टुवर्ड्स फ्रॉम आवर ट्रेडिशनल सिस्टम ऑफ डाइट टू आवर मॉडर्न सिस्टम ऑफ डाइट. तो जंक फूड की तरफ शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं, विच इज फुल ऑफ कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स, इट इज लैकिंग इन रफेज, फाइबर बहुत कम है, एंड इट इज highly concentrated, it is highly condensed, less of refined food and more of junk food. So this is disturbing the our digestive system and everything. So the most of the diseases like diabetes hai, these are diabetes hai, obesity, cardiovascular diseases, atherosclerosis, these are due to our faulty dietary pattern. So we have to take care of the diet, our diet. Then सर ने भी ऋतुचर्या, दिनचर्या की बात की कि क्या खाना है, कब खाना है, कितना खाना है, और साथ में ही हमारा लाइफस्टाइल की बात की. So lifestyle, you see कि we have shifted our pattern of lifestyle. There is a drastic change in the lifestyle pattern, and today's lifestyle, it is marked by total modernization, westernization, consumerism is there, and then commercialization, and then there is a neck throat competition in pursuit of joy, happiness, peace, prosperity, and we are all in a mad race today. We are following each other in a mad race, so which leads to disharmony of body, mind, and soul. And we see a number of psychosomatic diseases, means our psyche affecting our body. Then there are lifestyle disorders, which I have already mentioned, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, etc. Then there is a lot of stress and anxiety, which is also affecting our eating pattern and our overall health, which leads to lower immunity and lower resilience. And this is the basic cause for high mortality rate and high morbidity in various sections of our population. So in such a scenario, we have to balance between energy intake and energy expenditure. No doubt we can go for gymnastics, we can go for various exercise, but yoga is the panacea with minimal side effects. The role of yoga is not only curative, but it is preventive and promotive also. It helps to maintain a state of good health and well-being with minimum of negative effects. So if we see at physiological level, it helps to lower the rate of metabolism, thereby decreasing the oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide elimination. Then there is decrease in lactate level in the blood, thereby reducing fatigue. It improves digestion, excretion, sir is talking about, and then endocrine functioning of various glands of the body at the physiological level. And if we see the effect of yoga at psychological level, it helps in reducing stress and it induces relaxation, reduces stress, anxiety, depression, and so on. And cognitively, yoga is also helpful in better cognition, better comprehension, judgment, reasoning, etc. And it also improves optimum utilization of our mental faculties. At emotional level also it helps. It helps in better awareness of one's emotions and others' emotions, regulation of emotions, better interpersonal relation and conflict resolution. And of course, at spiritual level, it helps in a calm, composed and tranquil mind, inner peace and stability, self-actualization and self-realization. So to lead such yogic life, we need to have yogic lifestyle.
Yeah, that's true.
Four components. Yes.
We need to follow the yogic lifestyle. Just a one small short answer from your side is expected. People who are working in their call centers and all that, where they have to match up with the timeline of US or some other countries, how shall they look forward to have their diet in the daytime when that's their night also and that's their day also? What should be the one note, a very small note for those people, because we have audience from all walks of life?
Dietary pattern has to be very regular. No skipping of meals should be there. No fasting, longer fasting. It has to be balanced. Diet has to be nutritious, and time interval should be fixed. And we should take care of to balance the energy intake with the energy expenditure so that there is no extra calorie deposition. It is said an extra inch on waistline reduces life expectancy by 1 year. So we have to keep this tagline. We have to maintain the balance between energy intake and energy expenditure so that the body is in a state of homeostasis.
Yeah, Dr. Sapna, very well point that an extra inch of fat layer reduces the life expectancy, and this is what is happening. But what it is happening. So
Actually, I like to say one thing only over here.
Yes,
If
sir.
they are having that nocturnal life, because they have to cope up with their call centers, they have to cope up with their duties, at
Yes,
least they should go for their natural diet.
Yeah.
First, they are just doing that nocturnal duty and then they're going for the pizza and burger and all these things. I'll request all those people, if they're coming on night duty, they should have their tiffin with them from their house, which is rich of fibers, which is rich of nutritious food. Everybody knows now that it is available. But the question is, they are doing the nocturnal duty as well as they are not taking the diet as well. So it becomes very tough for them. So at least they should take their natural diet and take their tiffin with them from their house.
So well-balanced, nutritious, hygienically prepared under safe conditions and full of roughage. Diet full of roughage, and it should be full of prana energy, natural diet prepared under hygienic sanitary conditions and with positive energy and vibrations also. That makes sense.
Dr. Sapna and Dr. Anil, Mama ka tiffin hamesha saath jana chahiye, no matter who is preparing it. Very well said.
Yes,
Very
yes.
नहीं मम्मा नहीं हो बीवी का टिफिन भी जा सकता है कोई दिक्कत नहीं है
Very true, sir. Very true, sir. Dr. Neeru, I'm coming to you with some enlightenment from your side. We have a very good discussion with Dr. Sapna and Dr. Anil. Still, I see there is a little vacuum, because if we are asking the youth to get, like, stick on to the healthy diet and the very natural diet with lots of fiber and with the positive energy, with the pranic energy, if science also accepts it and it has been endorsed that भाव से बना हुआ खाना आपके भावों को उत्प्रेरित करता है। लेकिन उस भाव के स्टेट पे आने के लिए, उस लेवल पे आने के लिए, उस zenith पे पहुंचने के लिए, I think some mental concentration is very, very important, and that concentration can only be attained with the help of meditation. So I would like to have your expertise on this very sensitive topic, because for a youth sitting like in this mudra is just meditation, wherever the mind is wandering here and there, and that monkey mind is jumping from one shoe to the another shoe. What should be one crisp mantra for the youth that they should stick to the meditation, and that's how with that they can proceed for yoga and healthy diet, what we are hankering for.
Thank you, Dr. Achayata. So first of all, through this platform, I would like to pay my sincere gratitude for the joint venture by Vijnana Bharati, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and Center for Innovation and Biodesign by PGI MER, under the co-coordinatorship Dr. Varinder and Professor Harish, Madam Alka, Madam Shivani, and definitely to you, Dr. Achayata. As very well spoken by our esteemed chief guest as well as the honorable chairperson, the speakers have already enlightened, but now we will be talking about the youth as well as the entire masses of our country. Yes, माइंड इज चंचल, कभी वो इधर जाता है एंड कभी वो उधर जाता है। कभी भी देखिए कि हम बोलते हैं कि आपके खाने में जो सफेद जहर है तीन, आप उन्हें हटा दीजिए, चाहे वो चीनी है, चाहे वो मैदा है, चाहे वो नमक है। These are considered to be as white poison. But the thing is, youth mind is more attracted towards the junk food. The latter is more attracted because the boiled food, the steamed food, or the food which is like jisme sabziyan hai, this is not attracting them. And somewhere when the youth is staying away from the home, the mother kitchen is somewhere missing. So these are the main things, and moreover the peer pressure, the imaginary word which is pulling them towards the junk food. But the thing is, if they have strong senses to control their mind, they will definitely be controlling their thoughts as well as the thoughts will be controlling their action. Like here from this platform, I would like to give an example of Adnan Saini, a renowned singer. He was like bit obese earlier. Now he has shunned some weight. And he has been questioned in one of the interview that, Adnan, what is your favorite food? He said, seafood. So everybody was surprised how he is losing his weight by seafood. So he said, how you are losing weight through seafood? He said, my dear, not that seafood, just to seafood. So this is how you have to have a control over your thoughts, because you have to have the taste. But the thing is, जैसा अनिल सर ने बोला कि हमें nutritional food तो लेना, but we have to sensitize about the geographical food as well as the seasonal food. People are not aware of the seasonal food, the importance of seasonal food, what kind of combination we should take, because naturopathy, it talks about the seasonal food. Clear? The alkaline and the acidic food. जैसे सर ने हमें बताया, there is an importance of posture. When you sit in particular posture, the alignment of certain systems, वो alignment पे आता है. Thus your digestive system works perfectly, and you can, eradicate the problems which are facing physiologically. So same way, when your food intake is as per the geography where you are putting up, as per the season, where if it is the winter or the summer, if we are intaking the seasonal food, it definitely be helping us not only physiologically but psychologically also. Youth is very aggressive, youth is short-tempered, youth is careless about the diet, but once they starting having sattvic food as prescribed by Yoga or Yoga Sutra, definitely automatically their anxiety level, their frustration tolerance will increase, the anxiety will decrease, their concentration level, their attention and their focus power will be par excellence than anything else. And moreover, to the youth, I would like to give a message. What Harish sir और हमने तो देखा ही है कि we provided them the yoga platform, because yoga is a very slow practice. And we also felt that there was a dropout among the youth because, उनको कुछ peppy चाहिए होता है, there should be some spark in it, but yoga gives spark which you can feel from inside, but that comes later on. but at early stage, it is a very slow practice. So like technology gives a message for the inclusion. So we made an inclusion of aerobic exercise, dance exercise. Ultimately, there were certain postures with a combination of musical aspect just to, उनका एक हमने mind को हमने अपने control में करना था. And once they are in your control, once they are starting enjoying the asanas, they will do what command you are going to give them. So meditation is very difficult to attain, but once you attain, then you can, आपका जो एक life का fulfillment है, एक self satisfaction है, एक realization है, and an enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment will be there. और कहते हैं ना कि mind youth में एक चीज आ जाएगी, because they are facing situations, especially those who are working in corporate, for their sustainable development, they have to be smart enough. Clear? They have to have the problem solving attitude. They have to work more than their hours. So once they are practicing yoga and meditation, this will definitely be help them to stay calm and to stay more scientific as well as more smart.
Neeru, I would just take one message from this, because the point is how to tame the youth. You very well said that, that is some kind of the crisp, and this spark has to be added so that they could be attracted towards this. And I take this like, once you add that crisp and the spark in the form of maybe dance or maybe some musical posture and all that, and there we can tell them like, you have to concentrate on your breathing and you concentrate on your posture. That's how they would slowly push towards the meditation, and that's what our goal is. Thank you so much, Dr. Neeru.
Dr. Achayta, I would like to, आपने youth का example तो दिया, but यहाँ पे आपके platform पे मैं एक और कहना चाहूँगी, because we are sailing through this pandemic and India is definitely doing in a very good manner. But post-pandemic, the health, cases are going to be rise. Like all the times, earphone will be, giving increase in the ear problem. Mask will give us the problems of respiration, whereas constantly sitting in front of the technology, there will be spinal disorders as well. So our eyes, ears, our lungs, as well as our spinal system is at stake. So we have to channelize the masses for adopting yoga as well as the physical practices for health, as well as good nutritional values will be helping them to have. और हमारे पास एक example, हमने online yoga करवाया 1 month, and there was a 74-year-old of lady जिसने रोते हुए हमसे हमारा अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर किया कि फ्रॉम द लास्ट 4 months आई वाज अलोन एट होम, मेरे बच्चे मेरे से दूर थे, आई वाज टेकिंग स्लीपिंग पिल्स टू हैव साउंड स्लीप. लेकिन आफ्टर प्रैक्टिसिंग योगा, बिकॉज दैट वाज अ सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी, क्लियर, तो वहां पे शी फेल्ट शी वाज प्रैक्टिसिंग विद द फैमिली एंड शी सेड कि आज मुझे 5 दिन हो गए मैं पूरी नींद ले रही हूँ, और वो भी किसी मेडिसिन के बिना. So this is how practicing yoga, practicing meditation can help you to attain good health as well as good level of your mindset.
Thank you so much. Your points were really very informative and very educative also. And telling to all this conversation, still after maintaining and putting up this much efforts, Shiryate iti sharira, isne to kshin hona hi hai. So what if we are really fallen sick? And now that is the one part, and the second part is we do not want to fall sick. Dr. Ramdas, this question is towards you. हम आयुर्वेद से किस प्रकार से सिंपल और सरल तरीके से लोगों को बीमार होने से, और अगर कुछ एलिमेंट्स कॉमन सी हो तो हम कुछ किसी साधारण तरीकों से या कुछ साधारण उपचार से उनको ठीक की या स्वास्थ्य की तरफ लेके जा सकते हैं.
It is not 17 lakhs, it's 1,75,000 cases up to 2017.
Dr. Ramdas, probably you logged in from different devices in the same room.
Dr. Anantram Krishna, Dr. Pai, Dr. Balamurugam sir, and Dr. Virendra Garg, and other co-panelists. All other panelists spoke about health and preventive health. Ayurveda envisaged preventive health is not the outcome of one measure. It is the outcome of approach of so many measures, like already some of the speakers told, dinacharya, that is daily routine, seasonal routine, maintaining the digestive fire and digestion, various types of diets, and immunity, and at the same time improving the immunity of the individual by external rasayanas, that is called Chyawanprash and other things. And more importantly, they have envisaged that controlling Kama, Krodha, Lobha, and Moha, Mada, these are all together forms our health. Suppose if at all any individual falls sick of this, falls sick, then we have to look into his disease. And nowadays, because of the faulty lifestyle, people are suffering from so many lifestyle disorders like diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular problems like that. The most important is, certainly Ayurveda envisages that gut health is most important. All diseases are classified as upper gastrointestinal disorders and lower gastrointestinal disorders. Any disease has to originate means the first site of origin is either it is in upper gastrointestinal or otherwise lower gastrointestinal origin. Especially the gastrointestinal tract, every day we are consuming food, various types of junk foods and other foods we are consuming. And most important is whatever diets they have told in Ayurveda, certainly we have to follow. And dietary rules are most important, especially any of the lifestyle disorders people are suffering from. Immediately they have to change their lifestyle. That is, the first mistake happening is eating food immediately after taking food. Majority of the occasions we see at least after taking a major meal, we have to wait for minimum 3 hours. But people will take either tea, coffee, or otherwise any food has been served. Usually this we will see as a courtesy whenever we go, even after lunch, somebody comes immediately, we'll order for tea and we'll take. These are all the practices with a good awareness among the public, maybe it can be managed. Number two, second thing is, we are considering food in terms of its proteinaceous value, calorific value, fat value, and all these things. But according to Ayurveda, the diet is broadly classified into 2 varieties. One is easily digestible food and heavily digestible food. That is, which is Guru and Raghu. Why this? It has been told, because whenever you want to eat food, if you are consuming heavy diet sumptuously, certainly that is going to spoil your system over a period of time. So all heavy foods are to be taken in half quantity only. Suppose if we forget this, certainly over a period of time, people have to suffer from diseases. Suppose light foods can be taken to the fullest satisfaction. So it is not that whether you are taking sufficient quantity of protein or carbohydrate or fat, this is not the thing. Food should be taken in accordance to its quality. Second thing is, foods are divided based on their properties. Like vilahi, means food materials which causes burning. Food materials which produces dryness of the body. Food materials which produces unctuousness of your body. Like that, there are different varieties of food materials. All food materials, they have a specific property. Knowing the property and knowing the season, accordingly we have to change the material. If we are not going to change, we are not going to adopt, certainly we are going to suffer from diseases. Even suppose people who are suffering from diabetes. Diabetes is predominantly a Vata predominant disorder. So people suffering from diabetes, if they are going to take tubers which are more of dry nature, means the food materials which are growing in the ground, or otherwise any of the food materials like nuts and other things, if they are consuming in large quantities, certainly this Vata is going to aggravate. Similarly, patients suffering from diabetes, suppose if they are not sleeping properly, if they are not anointing their body, similarly they are suffering from too much of stress, certainly this Vata is going to aggravate, and those are the people who are going to suffer from complications. In this way, we have to understand that is the reason all together, it's a comprehensive approach. It is not difficult, because once upon a time we thought that Swachh Bharat, when it has been introduced, we thought that it is a difficult process. But now so many smart cities have come, so many cities are taking best prizes like that. There should be a curriculum from the beginning in the schools, how a lifestyle has to be led, what are all the foods to be taken in the seasons, and similarly, to control senses, especially anger, greed. Nowadays, people are suffering from so many psychological problems. Olden days, our grandmothers used to tell so many types of stories. Out of stories, we used to learn moral lessons. All these things are available in education. Nowadays, we are missing all those things because Ayurveda clearly told for psychological aspect, it is yoga, it is meditation. Apart from that, controlling all our emotions is most very, very important. Regarding treatment aspects, for all lifestyle disorders, there are a good number of treatments available for especially people who are working during day and night hours. They have Ayurveda clearly told a very specific measure that people who are working during night hours, for them it is daytime is the sleeping hour. At that time, during wakeful state only, they have to fill their stomach. They should not take large quantity of diet and they should not sleep. Similarly, those people, Vata is going to aggravate because it is unnatural. Staying awake at night it is going to aggravate Vata. That is the reason they have to anoint their body. Nowadays, we forgot applying oil over the body. So if they are going to anoint their body, certain of the complications, what they are going to develop, certainly they can control.
Yes, Dr. Ramdas, very well said.
Yeah.
Very well said. And all the points are really very, very informative. And I truly believe that simple sutra of Ayurveda, that Vat, Pitta and Kapha, यदि इनका balance body में होगा, तो definitely there would be the culmination of many kind of the mental and the physical disorders. We all need to understand like what is the prakriti and what kind of simple ahar the person has to take. You very well mentioned a very great point that Laghu ahar and Guru ahar. And the second thing is which is just an insight, like people who are totally engrossed in listening and conversation and they are eating their food, they actually forget this principle, and hence all the metabolic disorders they are taking place in the general public. So I think with all this brainstorming and the points and the knowledge what we had gathered from all the eminent speakers of ours, it's really informative, and I believe all the audience must have got the benefit and they would follow the instructions and the messages which our eminent speakers have given. And that's all. And I say thank you. And only the one message: health is wealth. So just the slogan should be healthy, and be healthy. Over to you, Dr. Shefali, and thanks a lot, all the eminent speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you all the panelists. I now take the opportunity to introduce our worthy awardees. Dr. Om Prakash Bera, Lead Consultant, India State Policy Ghai. He is the India in-country coordinator for the Cardiovascular Health Program. He's a public health expert with rich experience in project management and advocacy, has worked with the International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Disease, Vital Strategies and Foundation for Innovative New Diagnostics. He's the member state advisory panel for Transpat Control, Kerala. I now invite Shri J.M. Balamurugan, Principal Secretary to Governor Punjab, to please confer the award of Tech for Seva Leadership Excellence Award to Dr. Om Prakash Bera. Shri Balamurugan ji, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I do confer this award on Dr. Om Prakash Bera, and I don't know how this is done online, but this may be considered as being bestowed on Dr. Om Prakash Bera. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Our next awardee, Shri Ashwini Sekhri, Chairman, Punjab Health System Corporation, Confederation of Colleges and Schools of Punjab. He is Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare to help poor people in remote areas, Rajiv Gandhi Mobile Hospitals, 2003. He constructed Shri Rajiv Gandhi Stadium at Batala for youths, which is biggest stadium in the district. He is the member, Punjab Election Committee, ex-convener Election Campaign Committee of Parliament Election 2009. He is the chairman of PSIEC from 1994 to 1997. He's the Minister of State for Tourism and Cultural Affairs and an AICC observer. I now invite Professor S. Anantha Ramakrishna, Director CSIR, CSIO, to kindly confer Arogya Sebayat Innovation and Enterprise Leadership Award to Shri Ashwini Sekhri ji. Professor S. Anantha, if we can have you, please. Sir, if you can just confer the award to Shri Ashwini Sekhri ji.
We can take that as conferred.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So now I invite our awardees to please give a few words to the audience. Dr. Om Prakash Bera, can we have you, please? Shri Ashwini Sekhri ji, can we have you online, please? So Om Prakash Bera ji, thank you so much. If we can have a few words from your side. So I think there's a technical glitch, so we will proceed with our session. I take this hearty opportunity to now introduce our preside over Shri J.M. Balamurugan IAS, Principal Secretary to Governor Punjab. He is currently posted as Principal Secretary to Governor Punjab and Administrator UT Chandigarh since June 2017. He has been a key resource person at the national level in the transition and development of new paradigms in urban development programs like Smart Cities, Swachh Bharat Mission, etc. He continues a long association with Isha Foundation, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, founded by Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, having been the CEO of the foundation. He designed and implemented several pioneering large-scale programs of public action like District Action Plan for Drug De-Addiction, etc. He has been a secretary to Sports and Youth Affairs from June 2017 till August 2018. I now invite Shri J.M. Balamurugan to please apprise us with his kind and motivational words. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, one and all. And I'm very happy to be part of this Tech for Seva conference, which is being organized by CBIOD and VIVA. I could see very esteemed participants here, Dr. Anantha Ramakrishnan, Dr. Virender Garg, Dr. Vivekanand, Dr. Sapnananda, Dr. Akshay from BGI, Dr. Ramdas, Dr. Anil Sharma, and the awardee, Dr. Bera. And I believe there are so many other participants linked on the Facebook on this session. I'm indeed really amazed at the kind of knowledge about this subject that has been discussed by the participants here, who are much more scholarly in their expertise on this subject. They have spoken about use of our ancient wisdom and knowledge in maintaining our body healthy mind and healthy spirit. When we speak of ancient text, or what we call as traditional text, I think that is a kind of understatement. When we look at the traditional knowledge that is part of our culture and heritage, it's really immeasurable. The kind of depth into which this country, this culture has gone into every aspect of life, in looking at the depth of that and creating a body of knowledge which is still relevant and useful in the current world. I would not go into the technical details of what has been spoken into, but I've been enlightened by the speakers on this subject when they spoke about how to manage your body, health, and mind. I'm basically not from a scholarly field, not an academician, but certainly a practitioner of yoga and meditation. I've been able to see the benefit of practicing yoga and meditation for a long time. Just recently, we passed the Navaratri festivals. You could associate Navaratri festival with Hinduism as such, but these festivals and rituals and the ancient customs and traditions that has been handed over to us have a great relevance in modern day relevance in aligning our life to a proper way of life in living a healthy body and mind. These Navratri festivals, for example, have been 9 days of observance of certain discipline, certain rituals. But there is a science behind it. There is a great amount of science behind it. There is a great amount of principles of living behind it. That's what we have forgotten. And in the modern days, we have stuck to following the rituals and not remembering the basic principles behind it. I think if we go back into the roots of these basic principles of where they have come from, in my understanding, I think it is the basic Sanatan Dharma, which is our eternal law from which all this knowledge emanates. And if you are able to follow the basic principles of Sanatan Dharma as a spiritual way of life, the rest everything seems to fall in place. In fact, your healthy body, your healthy mind, healthy emotions, all these seems to fall in place once you are aligned to the basic principles of Sanatan Dharma. And Sanatan Dharma, as we know, is not a religion, it's a way of life. So this is a culture which has looked into in great depth about the science of life, about the way of life, about looking at what is life and what is our relationship with the rest of the world, and how to make use of our body and mind and spirit for our well-being, not just for our own well-being, but the well-being of the whole universe. So if we follow the basic principles of Sanatan Dharma, of looking at life and empowering ourselves, utilizing the tools that has been made available to us, in a way, it is a spiritual path that we undertake. If you are able to follow those principles of Sanatan Dharma, one feels that the rest of the things fall in place automatically. Of course, it is not always possible to have a healthy body all the time. The best extent that is possible, one is able to live life with the fullest potential. And I would not take more time on this and thank the organizers for inviting me to preside over this function. I wish them my very best wishes for their success in the rest of the day's workshop and in the other day's workshop too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and motivational speech. Thank you so much. Do we have Shri Vipin ji with us? If you can speak on behalf of Shri Ashwini Sekhri ji. So moving further, I now invite Dr. Sakshi to give a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you. Vigyan Bharati, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan and Center for Innovation and Biodesign, I express my gratitude to Dr. Anantha Ramakrishna ji for your presence and very inspiring address. Our indebted heartfelt thanks to Shri Vivekananda Pai ji for presenting before us the perspective of traditional ways for healthy lifestyle. Special thanks to all our panelists, Dr. Sapnananda, Dr. Neeru Malik, Dr. Ramdas, Dr. Anil Sharma, for presenting their views by considering different outlooks of lifestyle and nutritional practices. Thank you all. We are also thankful to Shri Balamurugam ji for presiding over this session and for your kind words, sir. Hopefully, we all will follow the traditional ways for keeping our mind and body fit. Thanks to audience for joining in this session. So now we are going to close this session. Before this, kindly join us for the next session on telemedicine technology, accessibility and scalable health ventures tomorrow at 10 a.m. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you.